Today we're discussing the torment of the Emperor. The genesis of this torment lies, as so many of the galaxy's woes do, in the fires of the Horus heresy. Before the betrayal, the Emperor was a being of unimaginable power and ambition, a figure walking among mortals as a colossus. His great work was the unification of Terra and the subsequent Great Crusade, an effort to reunite the scattered worlds of humanity under a single secular banner, the Imperial Truth. He preached logic, reason, and scientific progress, seeking to sever humanity's reliance on superstition and, most critically, to starve the parasitic entities of the warp known as the Chaos Gods. He was a creator, a visionary, a father to his gene-forged sons, the Primarchs. His dream was a bright future, a golden age where humanity would master its own destiny, free from the machinations of alien empires and the insidious whispers of the Empyrean. This dream is the essential context for his suffering, for his current state is the complete and utter antithesis of everything he sought to build. The first and perhaps most personal layer of his pain was emotional. The betrayal of his favoured son Horus Lupercal was not merely a strategic or political disaster, it was a profound familial wound. The Emperor had invested so much in Horus, grooming him as War Master and seeing in him the best of humanity's potential. To have that love and trust thrown back in his face, twisted by the corrupting influence of chaos, was a wound deeper than any blade could inflict. When the Emperor finally teleported aboard Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, for their final apocalyptic duel, he did not go as a wrathful god eager for vengeance. He went as a grieving father, still hoping even at the last that some part of his son could be saved. This hesitation proved nearly fatal. Horus, fully empowered by the four Chaos Gods, was a being of immense destructive force, and he struck his father down with a ferocity that shattered body, mind, and soul. He unloaded blow after blow, inflicting wounds that would cripple a god, all while the Emperor held back, unable to unleash his full might against the face of his child. It was only when Horus mercilessly slew a lone custodian, or in some interpretations an Imperial Guard, a final irredeemable act of cruelty, that the Emperor understood the totality of his failure. The son he loved was gone, replaced by a monstrous vessel for chaos. In that moment of terrible clarity, the Emperor gathered his remaining psychic might and unleashed a blast of pure soul fire. It was an attack of such magnitude that it did not just kill Horus, it scoured his very soul from existence, denying the Chaos Gods their ultimate prize. But this act of salvation was also an act of damnation. In that single definitive strike, the Emperor was forced to annihilate his own creation, to utterly unmake the son he had loved more than any other. This act, necessary as it was, sealed the first and most intimate circle of his hell, the undying memory of having to personally destroy his greatest hope and deepest love. The physical agony of Horus's assault was immense. I believe the spiritual agony of that final soul-destroying blow was even worse. Found by his loyal son, Rogel Dawn, the Emperor's broken and dying form was rushed back to the Imperial Palace on Terra. He was little more than a corpse, kept alive by the barest flicker of his own indomitable will. In his last lucid moments, he communicated the complex technical schematics required to integrate his body with the Golden Throne. Here the nature of his torment shifted, evolving from the sharp, acute pain of betrayal and battle into a chronic, unending agony. The Golden Throne was never intended as a life support system. It was a marvel of Dark Age technology, a psychic amplifier and portal device meant to be the nexus of the Emperor's Great Webway project, which would have rendered humanity free from the need for warp travel. Now it was repurposed into an arcane prison, a nightmarish fusion of machinery and psychic architecture designed to do one thing: keep the Emperor's consciousness alive, no matter the cost. For 10,000 years, his physical torment has been absolute. His body is a ruin, a desiccated husk fused with cables and conduits, his form little more than a skeleton draped in withered flesh. Every system of his biology failed long ago, kept in a state of perpetual animation only by the throne's ancient mechanisms. It is said that his mind, vast as it is, can still perceive the ceaseless, excruciating pain of his shattered vessel. Every nerve ending, every cell, is held in a state of screaming agony, a symphony of suffering that has not ceased for 100 centuries. He cannot move, he cannot speak, he cannot even die. He is trapped within the wreck of his own body, a passenger in a dying machine, a state of living death that defies all comprehension. Yet his physical suffering pales in comparison to the psychic torment that he endures. The Emperor's mind is not dormant, it is engaged in a constant multi-front war on a scale that no other being could possibly sustain. His primary and most famous duty is to power the Astronomicon, the psychic beacon that allows for interstellar travel across the Imperium. His consciousness is the focused beam of light that cuts through the darkness of the warp, a lighthouse for 1,000,000 ships across a hostile galaxy. This requires a colossal, unending exertion of psychic will, a constant projection of mental energy that would incinerate any lesser psyker in an instant. It is the equivalent of holding back a hurricane with one's bare hands, a feat he has maintained for millennia without a moment's rest. Simultaneously, he wages a silent, desperate war within the warp itself. His mind is a psychic bulwark, a glowing bastion of order against the roiling sea of chaos. The Chaos Gods and their demonic legions constantly assault his consciousness, seeking to break his will, extinguish the light of the Astronomicon, and consume his soul. I imagine his experience as a perpetual siege, where he is the lone defender on the wall of reality, assailed by the manifested nightmares of every mortal soul. He feels their hatred, their temptation, and their relentless pressure, a psychic battle fought second by second for the fate of humanity. Furthermore, he must defend the fractured human portion of the webway on Terra, preventing a new Eye of Terror from erupting at the heart of the throne world. He is a prisoner, a power source, and a soldier all at once, fighting battles on planes of existence that mortals cannot even perceive. To fuel this terrible engine of survival, a horrific sacrifice is required. Every day 1,000 psychers are brought before the Golden Throne and offered up, their life energy siphoned away to feed the ravenous machine and supplement the Emperor's flagging strength. He is a being who has once championed the sanctity of human life, must now bear witness to preside over this continuous, ritualistic slaughter. He feels the psychic death screams of 1,000 souls every single day, their essence consumed to buy the Imperium one more cycle of existence. This grim necessity is a monstrous perversion of his ideals, another layer of torment, where he is complicit in the very horror he sought to prevent. Beyond the physical and psychic, his torment ascends to the spiritual and existential, which I personally find to be the most tragic aspect of his condition. The Emperor was a staunch atheist. The core tenet of his imperial truth was the rejection of deities and the supremacy of human reason. He fought wars to free humanity from the shackles of faith and superstition. Now, in the greatest and most bitter of ironies, he is worshipped as a god. The Imperium is a theocracy built upon the worship of his name. The ecclesiarchy, the state church, wields immense power, preaching dogma, burning heretics, and demanding absolute faith in the God Emperor. His life's work of enlightenment has been utterly undone, replaced by a monstrous cult built around his own silent, agonized figure. He is forced to watch as his name is used to justify fanaticism, ignorance, and oppression, the very things he dedicated his long life to destroying. His dream is not just dead, its corpse has been animated into a grotesque parody of itself, and he is the captive figurehead. From his vantage point on the Golden Throne, his shattered consciousness perceives the passage of millennia as the slow, grinding decay of his own empire. The Imperium of the 41st millennium is not the enlightened, progressive civilization he envisioned. It is a crumbling, xenophobic, and brutal regime, mired in bureaucracy and superstition. It is an empire of fear, hatred, and ignorance, fighting a losing war on 1,000 fronts. He witnessed the corruption, the incompetence, and the slow erosion of everything that he built. He sees his Space Marine legions fractured into countless chapters, his ideals twisted into justifications for genocide, and the hope of humanity guttering like a dying candle in a gale. He is the all-seeing prisoner, aware of his grand failure and utterly powerless to intervene. This silence, immobile omniscience, this awareness of his dream's putrefaction, must be a form of torture that transcends mere pain. Recent law has even suggested a further internal torment, the fragmentation of his own consciousness. After 10,000 years of unimaginable stress, it is believed that the Emperor's mind is no longer a single coherent entity. Instead, it is shattered into countless warring fragments, The compassionate father, the ruthless warlord, the pragmatic scientist, the weary prisoner, all trapped together within the psychic construct of this being. He is at war not only with the forces of chaos without, but with the fractured echoes of his own personality within. This internal schism represents the ultimate decay, where not even the sanctity of his own mind and has survived this long ordeal. For 10 millennia, this was the status quo, a state of agonizing perpetual stasis, but the 41st millennium has seen this dreadful equilibrium shattered. The gathering of Abaddon the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade and the destruction of Cadia tore a scar across the galaxy known as the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Great Rift. This massive tear in reality has flooded the galaxy with warp energy, empowering demons and cutting off vast swathes of the Imperium, and magnifying the psychic pressure on the Emperor 1,000-fold. His eternal war has become exponentially more difficult, his burden heavier than ever before. In the midst of this new age of darkness, however, a flicker of the old dream returned. The Primarch Rabute Guilliman, Lord of Ultramar, was resurrected. Upon his return to Terra, Guilliman was granted an audience with his father. What transpired in that throne room is known only to him, but he emerged a changed man, filled with a cold, terrible resolve. He spoke of communicating with the Emperor, but not the father he knew. The being on the Golden Throne was no longer the visionary leader of the Great Crusade. It was something else, a being of immense terrifying power that communicated in visions and psychic commands, its immense will bent on humanity's survival at any cost. The warmth of humanity, the fatherly aspect Guilliman remembered, was gone, burned away by 10,000 years of agony, leaving only a cold, radiant and utterly ruthless intellect. The torment had fundamentally and irrevocably changed him. This leads us to the final terrible paradox of the Emperor's current state. The rampant fanatical faith of the Imperium, the very thing he fought against, may now be his only source of strength. The collective psychic belief of trillions of worshippers focused on him as a divine being have empowered him in the warp. He is unwillingly, or perhaps now willingly, ascending to become the god they believed him to be. His torment is the crucible in which a new dark deity of order is being forged. His ultimate failure may be the source of this ultimate power, a transformation that would mean the final death of the man he once was, and the final absolute victory of everything he once abhorred. The Golden Throne is failing, its ancient mechanisms finally succumbing to the ravages of time. What will happen when it finally gives out is this great terrifying question that hangs over the galaxy. Will he die plunging the Imperium into oblivion, or will he be reborn, not as the Emperor of mankind, but as the Dark King, the God of Order? A being as alien and terrifying as the Chaos Gods he has fought for so long. In the end, the Emperor's ultimate suffering is the metaphysical bedrock of the Warhammer 40K verse. He is the ultimate martyr, whose unending pain purchases humanity's continued miserable existence. He is a symbol of grim sacrifice, of a dream that has curdled into a nightmare, and of a hope so faint it is indistinguishable from despair. For me, the story of the Emperor is not one of heroism, but a cautionary tale on a galactic scale. It is a testament to the idea that even the grandest ambitions can lead to the most profound of hells, and that in the cold darkness of the far future, survival is a fate that can be far, far worse than death. This archive has now been fully decoded. Continue your journey into the librarium with the video displayed on screen. The vast wealth of the archives continues to reveal new knowledge of the dark history of the 40K verse. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.